The man did not like noise. He chose the apartment because it was high, quiet, and faced the old side of the city where nothing important happened. No traffic below. No screens across from him. Just concrete, wind, and a narrow balcony that most people would never use. On the first night, he almost missed it. He was rinsing a plate when he felt it, not a sound, but the sense that something was there. Watching. He turned his head and saw a small shape crouched at the far corner of the balcony. A cat. At least, that was what his tired mind decided. It was thin, dark, and very still. Its eyes reflected the kitchen light in an odd way, too bright, too focused. It did not flinch when he moved. He opened the sliding door slowly. Cold air rushed in. The cat did not run. "You shouldn't be up here," he said, more to himself than to it. The cat tilted its head. Not like a normal cat. Slower. As if it was thinking. He sighed, grabbed a piece of cooked chicken from the fridge, and tore it into small pieces. He placed them on a plate and slid it outside with his foot, keeping his distance. The cat sniffed once. Then it ate. Not fast. Not desperate. Careful. Controlled. The man watched until the plate was empty. When he looked away for a moment, the cat was already gone. He told himself it was nothing. The next evening, it came back. Same time. Same place. Sitting in the shadow, tail wrapped tight around its body. Waiting. He frowned. Stray cats were common. Balcony cats were not. Still, he fed it again. That became the routine. Every evening, after work, after the long walk home through streets that never remembered him, he cooked something simple and left a small portion aside. Chicken. Fish. Warm food. The cat never touched anything cold. It never made a sound. It never let him touch it. But it stayed. Sometimes it slept curled near the balcony wall, chest rising slowly, heat fogging the cold air. Sometimes it watched him through the glass with eyes that never blinked at the same time. Once, he swore he saw faint lines under its fur. Patterns. Like scales. He laughed at himself and went to bed. Weeks passed. The cat grew. Not quickly, but steadily. Its body lengthened. Its shoulders widened. Its eyes darkened into something deeper than green, almost molten in the right light. The fur along its spine looked thicker, heavier, like armor pretending to be soft. The man noticed other things too. The cat understood tone. When he was tired, it stayed quiet. When he spoke softly, it leaned closer. When he was angry, rare, but human, it backed away, wings, no, shoulders, tightening. Wings. He froze one night when he saw them. Just a glimpse. A fold beneath the fur. Something jointed. Something wrong. The cat noticed his fear. Its eyes locked onto his face, wide and sharp. He raised both hands slowly. "Easy," he whispered. The cat did not run. It stepped forward instead and placed one paw on the plate. The claws extended by accident. Too long. Too curved. They both stayed still for a long time. Then the man did something strange. He pushed the plate closer. The cat relaxed. Far above the city, clouds began to gather. Not storm clouds. Search clouds. Something vast moved through them, hidden from human eyes. Something ancient and furious. The sky bent around her presence, satellites losing signal as she passed. She tasted the air of an entire world, sorting lies from truth, fear from hunger. Her child was missing. Not dead. Not broken. Alive. Somewhere small. Somewhere warm. She burned 3 nests that night. She tore through steel and fire and screamed a name that cracked mountains. Armies fled without understanding why. Sensors failed. Pilots vanished into ash. And still, she did not find the scent she feared. Instead, faint and strange, she found another. Food. Shelter. Patience. A human smell, tangled not with greed, but routine. On the balcony, the man closed the sliding door and leaned his back against it, heart racing. The cat, no, the creature, curled up outside, tail wrapped tight, eyes half closed. As if it trusted him. He did not sleep well that night. Neither did the world. The man stopped calling it a cat. Not out loud. Not even in his thoughts, not fully. But the word no longer fit the shape sitting on his balcony each night. It was heavier now. When it landed, the concrete made a dull sound, like something solid had been set down carefully. Its paws were wider. The claws no longer hid completely, even when it was calm. And its eyes watched everything. Not like an animal watching for danger. Like a child trying to understand a strange world. The man noticed the patterns first when the light was right. Thin lines beneath the fur, faint but regular, catching the glow from the kitchen. They looked like scars at first. Then like scales pretending to be skin. He did not touch them. He never tried. Some instincts do not come from fear. They come from respect. He adjusted instead. He stopped using metal plates. The sound made the creature tense. He switched to thick ceramic bowls and set them down slowly. He stopped offering fish raw. It liked food warm, cooked, and clean. It never ate bread. Never touched plants. Only meat, and only what he prepared himself. Once, he left store-bought leftovers out of convenience. The creature sniffed, recoiled, and refused to eat. The next night, he cooked fresh again. The creature ate and pressed its head briefly against the balcony wall, a low, vibrating sound coming from deep inside its chest. Not a purr. Something slower. Stronger. He felt it through the glass. They developed a rhythm. The man spoke while he cooked. About work. About nothing. About the weather. He did not expect answers. But the creature listened. When he said hot, it pulled back from steam. When he said wait, it paused. When he said it's okay, it relaxed. It learned his words faster than it should have. It learned his moods even faster. On bad days, when his shoulders slumped and his hands shook just a little, the creature stayed close to the door. It lay facing inward, body between him and the open sky, tail curled but tense. Guarding. That realization unsettled him more than the scales. One night, rain started without warning. The man rushed to close the door, then froze. The creature had flattened itself against the far corner, body tight, eyes wide. Its breathing was fast, shallow. The rain never touched it, but the sound alone made it tremble. It's just water, he said softly. The creature did not believe him. He hesitated, then reached for an old blanket. He slid it outside slowly, keeping his movements calm. The creature watched every inch of fabric, ready to flee. But when the blanket blocked the sound of rain hitting concrete, the shaking eased. It crawled under the blanket and stayed there until morning. The man sat on the kitchen floor the entire night, back against the glass, listening to the rain and something else, deep breathing that did not match any animal he knew. The city began to change. People complained about strange weather. Sudden heat. Sudden wind. Electronics flickering for no reason. News channels talked about military exercises, about atmospheric anomalies, about nothing that explained the feeling pressing down on the air. The man felt it too, sometimes. A weight in the sky. A pressure behind the eyes. The creature felt it always. It started looking up more often. At the clouds. At passing aircraft. At stars it had never seen clearly before. Sometimes it made a sound then. Low. Broken. Almost a question. He answered without thinking. I don't know either. One evening, it did not come. The man waited. He left the food out. He cleaned the bowl. He checked the railing, the corners, the sky. He told himself it was normal. Animals leave. Animals move on. Still, he left the balcony light on all night. The next day passed slowly. The city was tense. Sirens in the distance. Helicopters circling farther out than usual. No explanations. That night, the balcony was empty again. The man felt something tight in his chest. Something foolish. He told himself he was projecting. That this was stupid. He left the food anyway. Near dawn, he woke to a sound that was not rain and not wind. A soft, careful landing. He rushed to the door. The creature was there. Dirty. Scratched. One wing, no, shoulder, held oddly low. A dark stain marked the fur along its side. Without thinking, the man opened the door fully and stepped out. The creature did not retreat. It looked at him, eyes dimmer than before, and lowered its head. Trust. His hands shook as he placed the bowl down. The creature ate slowly, painfully. When it finished, it collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. The man sat beside the door, close enough to feel heat radiating from its body through the air. Above the city, something screamed. Not with sound. With fury. The creature flinched, pressing closer to the building, eyes wide with fear that did not belong to a pet, or even to a beast. The man whispered the only thing he could think of. You're safe. For now. The creature closed its eyes. Far away, the Dragon Queen changed direction. She had found the scent again. And this time, it was wounded. The city did not wake gently. By morning, the news was loud with confusion. Flights delayed. Airspace closed in sections that did not make sense. Satellites malfunctioning. A cargo ship in the harbor burned without explanation, its crew rescued but silent, eyes wide and unfocused. The man watched none of it. He was on the balcony, crouched just inside the open door, listening to breathing that sounded like heat moving through stone. The creature slept. Not curled like before, but stretched out, body long and heavy, wings now, there was no denying it, folded tight against its sides. The fur along its back had thinned, revealing dark, smooth scales beneath. One wing joint was swollen, the membrane torn in a thin line like burned paper. He swallowed. "I don't know what you are," he said quietly. "But I don't think you're supposed to be hurt." The creature did not wake, but its tail twitched once, slow and deliberate, as if it heard him. He called in sick for the first time in years. He cleaned the wound the only way he knew how. Warm water. Clean cloth. Slow movements. The creature woke halfway through, eyes snapping open, body tensing so fast it startled him backward. "Hey," he said, hands up, heart hammering. "Hey. I'm not hurting you." The creature froze. Then, inch by inch, it relaxed. It watched him clean the torn membrane with unblinking focus. When he finished, it lowered its head again, pressing its forehead briefly to the concrete. Not gratitude. Submission. That scared him more than the wings. By afternoon, the sky darkened. Not with clouds alone, but with motion. Distant contrails bent unnaturally. Military aircraft passed overhead without lights, fast and silent. Once, something moved far above them that cast a shadow too wide for any plane. The creature sensed it before he did. It rose, hissing low, wings spreading partway in panic. Heat rippled across the balcony. The railing grew warm under his hand. "Easy," he whispered. "Easy." The creature looked at him. Then it did something impossible. It stepped behind him. The man felt its heat at his back, felt the edge of a wing brush his shoulder, felt its weight shift so that he stood between it and the sky. A child hiding behind a parent. He did not move. High above the city, the hunt tightened. The Dragon Queen crossed continents in minutes, her body hidden in folds of burning air. She ignored armies. She ignored weapons. She ignored the screaming of lesser beasts drawn by her passing. She searched for fear. She found fire. But the trail always ended the same way, near the human city, then thinning, dissolving, masked by something she did not understand. Routine. Care. A place where no one tried to take. That night, the first warning reached the world. An unmanned drone entered the clouds above the city and vanished. Not exploded. Not disabled. Erased. Governments issued statements. Militaries locked down borders. No one admitted they were afraid. On the balcony, the creature would not eat. It paced, claws clicking softly, wings flexing in pain. Every sound from the sky made it flinch. Every shadow sent its head snapping upward. The man sat on the floor, back against the wall, speaking softly. About nothing. About everything. About the time his father taught him how to fix a broken chair instead of throwing it away. About learning to cook because it was cheaper than eating out. About being alone and learning not to hate the silence. The creature listened. Slowly, it lay down. When the food finally disappeared from the bowl, the man exhaled a breath he did not know he was holding. The night deepened. Then the heat came. Not rising, pressing. Like the air itself had weight. Windows across the building began to crack. Alarms screamed and died. The city lights flickered and went out, block by block. The creature cried out, a sharp, broken sound that made the man's chest ache. He stood and stepped onto the balcony fully, arms spread without thinking, as if that could matter. "I'm here," he said. "I'm not leaving." The sky opened. Fire without flame. Light without color. Something vast moved just beyond human sight, folding space around itself as it descended. The Dragon Queen had found the center of the trail. She hovered above the building, unseen by most, felt by all. Her mind brushed the city, tasting intent, sorting thousands of lives in a single breath. Fear. Greed. Violence. And then, this. One small human. One wounded hatchling. No cage. No chains. No attempt to hide or sell or control. Only food placed gently. Water warmed. A body offered as a shield. The queen paused. On the balcony, the creature pressed against the man's legs, trembling. He felt heat along his spine, smelled something like rain on stone. The sky held its breath. The hunt was over. But the judgment had just begun. The first thing the man noticed was the silence. Not the calm kind. The kind that felt forced, as if the city itself had been told to stop breathing. No wind. No distant traffic. No sirens. Even the creature went still. The air on the balcony grew heavy and warm, pressing against his skin. The lights inside the apartment flickered once, then died completely. Somewhere far below, glass shattered. The creature whimpered and tried to crawl backward, wings scraping the concrete. Heat rolled off its body in uneven waves, fear sharp enough that the man felt it in his teeth. "It's okay," he whispered, though nothing about this felt okay. "I've got you." The sky answered him. It did not tear open. It did not explode. It bent. The clouds above the building folded inward, forming a vast, circular hollow. Inside it was darkness layered with glowing veins of molten gold and deep red, like the inside of a living furnace. Then the Dragon Queen descended. She did not land. She hovered just beyond the balcony, her presence warping space, her vast body hidden partly from human sight. What the man could see was enough. An eye larger than his entire apartment stared at him from the darkness. It burned like a star held back by will alone. Massive horns curved through the air where the clouds parted, their edges glowing faintly. Heat washed over the building, but the balcony did not ignite. Not yet. The creature screamed. It tried to run toward the corner, then stopped, caught between instinct and something deeper. It turned back, scrambling toward the man instead, pressing against his legs, wings folding tight as it shook. The queen's gaze snapped downward. Her attention locked onto the hatchling. The air screamed. Concrete cracked beneath the man's feet as pressure slammed down on the building. Windows across the city shattered all at once. People fell to their knees miles away, gasping, minds overwhelmed by a presence older than fear. The queen spoke. Not with sound. With meaning. "My child." The creature cried back, a broken, desperate sound that barely formed a thought. Fear. Pain. Relief. Home. The queen's fury surged. The heat intensified, sharp and lethal. The edges of the balcony began to glow. The man felt his skin prickle, his lungs burn. This was it, he thought dimly. This was where it ends. He stepped forward. It was not bravery. It was habit. The same instinct that made him reach for a hot pan to pull it away from the edge. The same instinct that made him stand between danger and something smaller. He raised one hand, palm outward. "Please," he said. The word came out rough, small, human. The queen's eye shifted. For the first time, she looked at him. Her presence slammed into his mind, vast and crushing. She saw everything in an instant, his routine, his loneliness, the careful way he cooked, the nights spent sitting awake because the creature was afraid of rain. She searched for greed. She found none. She searched for fear. She found it, but it was not fear of her. It was fear for the hatchling. The heat wavered. The queen extended part of herself closer, careful now. A massive claw formed from light and shadow, hovering inches from the balcony. One talon stopped just short of the man's chest. He did not move. The queen examined the wound on her child's wing. The crude but gentle cleaning. The careful bandaging. The absence of restraints. Her fury cracked. It did not vanish. It focused. "You did not know," she pressed into his thoughts. Not a question. A statement. "I didn't," he said aloud, voice shaking. "I just fed it." The queen tasted the word. Fed. Not owned. Not used. Not displayed. Fed. Her claw withdrew slightly. The creature lifted its head and let out a soft, questioning sound. It crawled forward, wings trembling, and pressed its forehead to the concrete at the man's feet, then turned and did the same toward the vast presence in the sky. The queen's rage broke completely. Not into mercy. Into something rarer. Relief. The pressure lifted. The heat eased. The balcony stopped glowing. The queen lowered herself further, close enough that the man could feel the air move with her breath. She reached out and gently, so gently, touched the hatchling with one glowing talon. The wound sealed. The creature cried out once, then stilled, strength flooding back into its body. Its wings flexed, whole and powerful. The queen did not take her child yet. She looked at the man again. "You kept my hatchling alive," her presence said. "In a world that would have killed it without hesitation." He swallowed. Anyone would have done the same. The queen's gaze sharpened. They did not. The city waited in terror below. The Dragon Queen hovered in silence. And the man stood on his balcony, realizing the world had come to him not for punishment, but to decide what it owed him. The Dragon Queen did not leave in fire. She stayed. Above the city, her presence softened from a crushing weight into something watchful. The clouds remained bent around her, glowing faintly, but the heat faded until the night air returned to normal. Sirens far below stuttered back to life. Power flickered on in distant blocks. The man stood where he was, legs trembling, afraid that if he moved, the moment would shatter. The hatchling moved first. It stepped away from him, then stopped. It looked back once, eyes bright and uncertain. Slowly, it lifted its head and made a sound the man had never heard before. Not fear. Affection. The dragon queen lowered herself further, until the sky seemed to bow around her. She gathered her child with a grace that made her size feel unreal, wings folding around the small body like a living fortress. The hatchling did not struggle. But it stretched one claw back. Just for a moment. The man felt the touch, warm, light, careful, against his fingers. Then it was gone, lifted into the sky, wrapped safely against its mother's heart. The queen remained. Her vast gaze swept the city one final time. She marked buildings, streets, the flow of human lives below. She memoized everything. Then she spoke. Not just to the man. To the world. Her voice did not shake air. It entered minds, translated perfectly, carrying a single truth. This city is spared. Across command centers and bunkers, generals froze. Across streets and apartments, people collapsed in relief they did not understand. The queen turned her focus back to the man. You offered food, not control. Shelter, not ownership. In doing so, you placed yourself under my protection. A ripple of power rolled outward, invisible but absolute. Hear this law, she declared, and the stars themselves seemed to listen. Any human who protects a dragon child shall be considered kin. To harm them is to invite extinction. The declaration carved itself into history. Then, at last, she rose. The clouds closed behind her, sealing the sky as if nothing had ever been there. The pressure vanished completely. The night returned to its ordinary quiet. The city lived. The man stood alone on his balcony. For a long time, he did not move. When he finally looked down, he saw it resting on the concrete where the hatchling had slept, a single scale, dark and warm, faintly glowing at the edges. Not a threat. Not a weapon. A promise. He picked it up carefully. In the days that followed, explanations failed. Governments denied. Scientists argued. Religions splintered overnight. No one could agree on what had happened, only on what had not. The city was untouched. One building, one balcony, one ordinary human, left standing at the center of something impossible. The man returned to his routine. He went to work. He cooked simple meals. He stood on his balcony in the evenings, looking at the sky, half expecting to see a familiar shape in the shadows. Sometimes, on quiet nights, he swore the air grew warmer. Somewhere far above the world, a dragon queen watched over her child. And over the human who had fed it. Without ever asking what it was.